Welcome to the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, episode number 44. Filmmaking is a chance to live many lifetimes. Robert Altman.
Broadcasting from the back alley in Hollywood, it's the Indie Film Hustle Podcast, where we show you how to survive and thrive as an indie filmmaker in the jungles of the film biz. And here's your host, Alex Ferrari.
Welcome, my indie film hustlers, to another episode of the podcast. I am your humble host, Alex Ferrari. Don't forget to head over to freefilmbook.com. That's freefilmbook.com to download your free film audiobook from Audible. And today's show is sponsored by Twitter Hacks, a new course that we created to help you get 10,000 Twitter followers in 10 weeks. And these are actual true fans. And I've done it personally with our own Twitter account for Indie Film Hustler. So you can always check that out at Indie Film Hustle, which is my Twitter handle, or again, just go to twitterhacks.com and you'll get a special discount off the course. So today, guys, we have a really dense episode. I wanted to put all of these different kind of revenue stream models in one episode so everyone can kind of get a taste of different options that they can do to help sell their movie and to help get their movie out there. And at the end of the day, make some money. Help you guys make some actual money so you can continue making films and continue doing what you love to do. So first thing I'm going to talk about is audience building. Now, audience building is going to be an entire course one day on how you actually build an audience and how you engage with an audience and so on and so forth. So I'm going to assume that you're already at the point where you've engaged your audience. I'm going to give you options of revenue streams that you don't even have to have audience, built-in audience, but built-in audience always, and again, always helps in anything you're doing. So obviously focusing on audience building is one big thing. I talk about it a lot throughout the podcast over the course of the last 6 months that we've been doing this podcast, as well as on the blog at indiefilmhustle.com. There's a ton of information about audience building. And I just want to make a disclaimer here, guys. All these services and people that I'm going to be talking about, I am not making a dime off of any of them. This is my honest, true opinion and recommendation with no money changing hands, okay? So first and foremost, the first place I would start if you have a brand new movie idea and you haven't even raised money to make that movie is you got to go to seedandspark.com. Seedandspark.com is the Kickstarter and Indiegogo for filmmakers. It's run by an amazing entrepreneur. By her name is Emily Best. I had the opportunity to interview Emily on episode 23, and we basically sat down and talked an hour on basically a masterclass on how to crowdfund and how to start doing your audience building. So definitely check out that episode. That would be episode 23. And I'm going to put all of the links of the people we're talking about in the show notes as well. So don't forget that in the show notes, as always, indiefilmhustle.com/044. So again, Seed and Spark is a great place to start because you're not only audience building when you're starting to create excitement about your product, but you're actually starting to raise money for this product. And this is a crowd that you can not only raise money for your project, but move forward on marketing, on other aspects of your project that might not be specifically production based. And you can start engaging with this audience and start really working on and eventually possibly sell them merchandise or other things, ancillary products. But once you build up this audience, it's so powerful to do. And I'm going to talk about what a couple of other filmmakers have been doing that I've saw that are just amazing in regards to how they're tapping their audience and what they're selling and how they're making their money. It's remarkable. So first place to start is seedandspark.com, or any kind. If you don't like Seed and Spark for whatever reason, I don't know why you wouldn't. They're amazing. But there's always obviously Kickstarter or Indiegogo as well. But Seed and Spark is specifically designed for filmmakers, so I would definitely go there. Now, the next step is, let's say you got your movie made, you're done. Now it's in the can. What are you going to do next? Well, after you go through a festival circuit, or some people might not want to go through a festival circuit, and festivals are a whole other conversation for another time. But let's say you have a final product and you want to get it out there into the world. So the next thing you want to figure out is how you're going to get it on VOD, video on demand, digital services like Hulu, Amazon, Amazon Prime, Google Play, iTunes, Roku, all of those kind of places. So how are you going to get it on there? Well, there's a thing called aggregators. These are people who either they kind of like have there's basically to get into all these places, there's only, let's say, 30 or 40 companies that have signed deals with Hulu, Amazon Prime, Google Plus, iTunes, and all those kind of places, and Netflix and those places. So they've only signed about 40 deals with these companies. So if you can't get through one of those 40 companies to get in, and I'm going to give you a name of one that you can do, but if you can't get in through with one of those, you might have to go through an aggregator. An aggregator is someone who has a deal with that other company to get into Amazon, Hulu, and so on. One company that I interviewed a while ago is Linda Nelson's company, Indieflix, and she was on episode 17. And she basically, her deal is she basically gets your projects into Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, possibly depending on if you want to go to Netflix or not. I'll talk about Netflix in a second, Google Play and all that stuff. And she has a direct relationship with all these companies. So she is one of those companies that has direct relationship with most of those companies. If not, she can get into those companies as well. And she has an amazing deal for filmmakers, obviously, if it works for them, it's something that she thinks that could work. But it's a great company. They are filmmakers first and foremost, and it's a way for you to get your movies out there quickly and fairly easily. And I like them a lot. I like what they're doing a lot. They're really good folks over there. So definitely check them out. There's also a couple other companies like Distributor, where our guy Jason Brubaker works. I interviewed him a little bit ago in regards to self-distribution. They have another model in regards to how they distribute it, but they're also another way to get into a lot of these VOD companies. So look them up as well. And that's one way to get into all of these companies. You trying to go in individually to these companies, you won't make it. You just won't get in. It's no possibility. You have to kind of work with these other companies, because imagine if Netflix opened their door to every filmmaker to kind of just submit. Are you kidding me? It would be absolutely crazy. Now, with Netflix in mind, one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a filmmaker is put your film on Netflix. And I know you're saying, Alex, that's crazy. Netflix is awesome. Why wouldn't you want to put your movie on Netflix? Because Netflix doesn't pay crap. Netflix, unless you're a huge deal, if you're an independent film, they're going to pay you once. If you're lucky, a little bit of money, and that's it. And then all of a sudden, your movie is available for everybody to watch for free. So all those other revenue streams get cut off. The only time you go to Netflix is maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years down the line where you exhausted all the other revenue streams and you want to just put one last revenue stream and pop it out. That's from my experience and from my research that I've done. Netflix is not the place you want to start with unless there's a huge upfront cost. The reason why is because Netflix does not pay per view. They pay once and that's it. But formats or platforms like Hulu and Amazon Prime, they actually pay per view. So that is so much more powerful than just being paid once up front and that's it. So it's Netflix is definitely not a place you want to go, but Hulu and Amazon Prime, those are two really great Prime places to put your stuff in. Definitely check out that episode 17 with Linda. It's eye-opening on all the crazy stuff that you can do with VOD. Now, another amazing place that you can submit yourself, and this is something you have complete control of, is Vimeo Pro. Vimeo Pro allows you to submit your movies and charge for them. Now, the wonderful thing about Vimeo Pro, and it's Vimeo.com, obviously, but if you get a pro account, which you have to pay $199 a year for, so this is a little bit more serious, so you're expecting to make some money. If you invest that $200, you'll be able to charge for your movie, $399, $599, and so on. And the great thing about Vimeo Pro is that they have a built-in audience. So just by putting it up on Vimeo Pro, you're going to start making revenue very, very quickly. Obviously depending on the movie and so on, but there is an audience already there hungry for content, hungry for good stuff. That's what Vimeo is based on. They're not just a company that has or a platform that just is an aggregator, not an aggregator, but a technical format to be able to put your movie up and host it. These guys actually have an audience and they sell your movie for you just by putting it up on there. So that $199 is a pretty decent investment. I know of a bunch of Sundance winners that have done exactly that. They'll put their movie up on one platform that doesn't have an audience really, and they make barely anything on it, but they just stick their movie up on Vimeo Pro, and they say, I get a check every month, and it just keeps coming and coming. Even if it's a little bit, it always keeps coming. So Vimeo Pro, really, really good. Really, really good option for you to submit yourself. Now, another really great platform, or another great platform, is Indieflix. Now, I had the pleasure of interviewing the CEO of Indieflix, Sheila Andreen, if I'm not mistaken, and that's going to be coming up in episode 51. And that's going to be released February 8th. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now, back to the show. Definitely listen to what she's got going on. She's been around for a while. The company Indieflix has been around for a while and has gone through multiple different changes as far as formats and kind of structure. And now they're built on a membership platform. So they're basically kind of like a Netflix for independent films and short films, by the way. And by the way, everything I'm talking about here, short films are not out of the question. You can get short films definitely in Vimeo Pro, definitely in Indieflix. And those other formats, short films are an option too. So definitely take a look at that. If not one short film, a compilation of short films, definitely in some of the bigger platforms like iTunes, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Google Play, and so on. But Indieflix is really interesting. What they're doing is because since they're a membership-based program, what they do is they actually pay the filmmaker per minute watched. And I know that sounds crazy. So if you have a movie, let's say let's say you have a decent movie and somebody watches only 5 minutes of it, but you got 10,000 people watching it the first 5 minutes, and then they log off. Well, you still get paid. So because there's this big, huge pot in the middle, the more subscribers there are, the more per view you get paid per minute. So right now, I think it's 25 cents a minute or something like that. Don't quote me on that. You'll have to look at their specifics on their site, indieflix.com. But when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Now, obviously, this is a more curated a platform. So Indieflix will curate the stuff that comes in. So not everything is going to come in. Not everything's going to be accepted. They're really picky about what they get in. But if you can get in there, it's a wonderful revenue stream for your film. So that's another great revenue stream. And definitely check out episode 51 with Sheila. And it's eye-opening of what they're doing. And also her experience in the indie film world is hilarious and eye-opening as well. Now, another thing you can do is go to a great company called VHX.TV. Now, VHX.TV is probably the sexiest platform for self-distribution I have ever seen. I love what these guys are doing. It's really, really amazing. What they do is the infrastructure is so seamless. It's wonderful. So you can upload your project, your film up there. And host it for them. They give you all sorts of different codes, like if you want to have a little pop-up code on your own site. So you can literally sell digital streaming right on your website without dealing with the infrastructure. They have dealt with all the infrastructure for you. And they take a very modest cut. They take 10%. So you get 90%. They get 10% plus, I think, 50 cents every transaction, which is insane. So basically, you can right out the gate start selling your movie. Again, now this is if you have an audience. If you expect to just throw it up on VHX and start selling, it doesn't work that way. With VHX, you've got to have an audience that you can point to this area. So they're more of an infrastructure kind of company, and it's amazing infrastructure, really, really good. So you have to pay, I think the first hour is free. After the first hour, you got to pay a little bit of money one-time fee just for hosting. But after that, it's free sailing, and it's not a lot. They give you per 5 hours, hour, 2 hours, extra hours, and they sell you blocks. And it's really, really, really great, guys. I mean, amazing. So I know of a few filmmakers that I know of. What they're doing is, let's say they get into a big film festival, and all that hype and energy is going towards that film festival during that screening. Well, what they'll do is they'll promote right after the festival. They'll promote a available VOD window for that movie for a week. So they'll aim everybody to the site and go, guys, if you want to watch it, it'll be available for a week. And here's the code, and it's going to cost you, $3.99, $5.99 to watch the movie. But they've got all this excitement about it, and then after that, they pull it off, and it's gone. Then they go on to the next movie or the next festival, and they do the same thing. And they kind of, so that way you can kind of leverage all the hype and energy you get from a festival and do some sales off of it. So you're starting to sell your movie little by little. This doesn't affect your distribution issues, like if someone wants to pick up your movie, anything like that. It's short little windows. So it's just another way for filmmakers to make a little bit of money as they're going through this process. So VHX.TV, definitely check them out. They're a wonderful, wonderful company and really helping out filmmakers all the way. So, and then lastly, I'm going to give you another tip. How about if you want to go theatrical? I know that sounds insanely crazy. Like, Alex, I don't got the money for theatrical. There's no way I can go theatrical. Well, you know what? There's this insane company called Tug. Tug allows you to basically go into, I think, 90% of all theaters. You have access to 90% of all the movie theaters in the country, and they help you set up screenings. Now, the way it works is this, and by the way, the episode that I had the lovely pleasure of interviewing the head of independent film acquisition, Felicia, is episode 25. So definitely check out that episode, and we go into a lot of detail about what Tug's doing, what self-distribution theatrically means, and what you can do there. But I'll give you the kind of the Cliff Notes version of what that is. Basically, what you can do is set up a screening in any city, in any venue you like, as long as Tug has access to it. You set up, let's say you set up a screening, and then you've got to fill the seats. So if you fill, let's say you set a threshold. So as long as you can get 30 people out of the 50 in there, the screening is on. You pay nothing, absolutely nothing, until that screening is a go. Then you can actually send the elements to Tug. Tug takes care of all of the element deliverables that need to be done and created for the theaters, like the DCPs or whatever needs to be created for that screening. They handle all of that. They handle the security of it. They handle all of that aspect of it. So it's turnkey. And I know one film that they did made millions, I think a handful of millions, and it was a documentary, because they don't only just set up screenings in movie theaters, but they set them up in public places and event halls and churches, wherever they can. They set these things up. It's places where you can start making revenue, as long as you are willing to put the legwork in to create the hype and get people, as they say, asses in seats. Then you can have a theatrical run of your movie with no money up front. It's absolutely insane. Before, you would have to spend thousands of dollars up front to four wallet, meaning you're literally just renting out the theater. Nowadays, you don't have to do that. It's all on the internet. And then if you have a fan base in New York, let's say, and you have a fan there's a crazy fan about your movie, or someone that really loves what you're doing, and you can go, look, you can sponsor a screening. So then they go out there and they fill the seats for you, and boom, all of a sudden you have another screening. So all of this is another revenue stream, and you can make some serious money doing this, because not only do you sell tickets, but you can make it an event. You can charge a little bit higher ticket price. So instead of $10 or $15, you can charge $40, because there's going to be a Q&A afterwards. There's going to be autograph sessions with the actors, or whatever you want to build up like this kind of event. And you can sell merch. You can sell t-shirts, hats, posters, DVDs, whatever you want to sell at the theater. Now, obviously it depends on the theater and the venue, but on the ones that allow that, you can make more revenue off of a screening than you could selling it, to a distributor. So again, this is all this wonderful world of self-distribution and getting different revenue streams to come into your movie. There's so many options nowadays when there was none before, or really, really difficult to get your stuff out there. Now there are multiple revenue streams for your movie, and there's no excuse. The only thing you have to do is work. There's a lot of work involved. It's hard work. I'm not going to lie to you, but once you start building that audience up, once you start building this all up, you can start building your company up, building up more movies and more movies and more movies, and get it to that next place where you want to be, where you can just keep doing this for a living and keep doing what you love to do, instead of having to go to that 9-to-5 job or doing those jobs that you don't want to do. Now, as a promise, I wanted to talk to you guys about specifically one film that has taken self-distribution and just monetizing their brand in a way that I've never seen before. And it's a short film. On top of it, it's a short film. I saw this movie called Kung Fury. Definitely Google Kung Fury and you'll see what I'm talking about. These guys are insane. They created this wonderful short, which they crowdfunded, by the way. So they already started creating their audience. They crowdfunded and they got almost $150,000 to make this short film. And it's basically an homage to the 80s. So it's like the most ridiculous, out there, crazy 80s movie. Every cliche you can imagine is in it, but it's so much fun. It is just a hoot, man. I couldn't stop laughing. It's a great, great action movie. They take themselves so seriously, and that's what makes it funny. And they know what they're doing. It was great. But what they do now is, like, I saw it on El Rey Network, so they sold it out to El Rey Network. They sold a bunch of it. They sold a bunch of their own. You can buy screening copies of it, but now, from what I understand, they're giving the movie away for free and using it basically as an advertising for other stuff that they're selling. They're making more money on their merch than they are ever selling the movie. And that's where you've got to be. That's the Disney model. That's the Star Wars model. Yeah, they're making a lot of money, obviously theatrically with Star Wars Force Awakens, but that's not where the money is. You know, Frozen made $1 billion in the theater, but you know how much Frozen made off of their dresses alone? Just the dresses of Elsa dresses. They made $1 billion off of the Elsa dress alone. Not to mention, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor. And now back to the show. The hundreds of other products they licensed for Frozen. That's where the money is. That if you can get to that level. So these guys have done it at a much smaller scale and a more accessible scale, but they've done it very, very well. They're selling jackets. They've built like this rabid fan base around Kung Fury that people are buying the jackets, they're buying hats, they're buying t-shirts, they're buying all sorts of crazy merch. They got David Hasselhoff to do a music video for them. It was absolutely remarkable what these guys were able to do. And I tip my hat to them, because if you definitely look at them and study them, because they did a really good job. And another movie that did a really great job doing this similar thing is Turbo Kid. Look for a movie called Turbo Kid on Google and you'll see what I'm talking about. They have their film up obviously on Prime and on Hulu and all these kind of places as well, but they sell merch. They found the same rabid fan base of fans that love what they're doing. And it's another 80s action movie, but it's actually a feature and stars Michael Ironside is the main villain. If you guys don't know who Michael Ironside, Google him. He's amazing. But the movie is done really, really well, and it's amazing what these guys were able to do. So those are two great examples of what filmmakers who really want to turn their movies into businesses and understand what can be done with a movie and take it to that next level. So I've just laid out a lot of information for you guys. Definitely go to the show notes. There's going to be links to everything I'm talking about. It's going to be a really jam-packed show notes, a lot of links, a lot of things for you to take a look at. But I've laid out a lot of information for you guys of different revenue streams that you can start implementing as soon as your movie is out, with an audience and without an audience. But always, if you want to make it in this business and make a career out of doing this by yourself, self-distribution, building up your world, building up your brand and all that, and audience build, you have to have that audience, guys. You've got to build that audience up. I might even be doing a course about this one day, because so many people ask me about how to build an audience. And I'm doing that right now with Indie Film Hustle, and a lot of things that I'm learning on Indie Film Hustle can easily be turned into things that you can apply to your film and to your brand, which is one of the reasons why I created Twitter Hacks, and I'm creating a bunch of other courses because you guys keep asking me to do so. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys, so I can help you guys out more and more. So thanks so much, guys. I hope this episode was helpful to you. As always, if you found this episode great, and if you love the show, head over to filmmakingpodcast.com and leave us an honest review of the show. It really helps us out a lot. It helps us get the word out on Indie Film Hustle, so more people who need it, more filmmakers who need this information can get it. Please don't forget to share this on Facebook. If you see an article or a post of ours, please share it with all your friends as often as possible, so we can get the word out and get this tribe bigger and bigger and bigger and more powerful, so we can help each other get to the next level, guys. All right? Keep that hustle going. Keep that dream alive. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Indie Film Hustle podcast at indiefilmhustle.com. That's INDIEFILMHUSTLE.com.